We're all volunteering.
Thank you, Judge, for kicking us off. I would like to welcome Sandra Hans, Chancellor of Washington Tri-Cities, and Jonathan Mail, Assistant Vice Chancellor for Research and Director of National Laboratory Partnerships at WSU. Thank you, Jonathan and Sandra, for being with us today and for sharing your insights.
Thank you so much.
So I was going to try to go with how the young people do it, but I'm not sure I can read off my phone. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll just bring the iPad. And then I thought, no, maybe not. I'll just stick to the paper. I don't know. Anyway, thank you so much for having me here today. And it is indeed my pleasure to welcome you all here. I believe this is the third AGI day that we have hosted on campus, and we are always delighted to have you here. I very much agree with what Judd said, is it takes all of us to figure out this future that we're looking for, our decarbonized future. And clearly we have to interact with each other, we have to understand each other, and we have to work together to make this all work. So thank you all for coming, and welcome to the WSU Tri-Cities. Do you have the clicker? Oh, I can just tell you what to do? Okay, well, anyway, my part is going to be slightly easier and probably a little less technical than the rest of the talks you're going to hear today. I'd like to tell you just a little bit about WSU Tri-Cities and why this is a great place to hold this event, as well as others around energy. So if we can go to the next slide, I think. WSU Tri-Cities is one of 6 campuses. So the WSU system is actually 6 campuses around the state. But this particular campus is very well positioned to work on energy because we live in a vast and expansive energy ecosystem. We also have the resources of the entire WSU system behind us to help us bring together researchers and information to this location so that we can interact, as Judd said earlier, with the community and come up with solutions. But I would be remiss if I didn't also say we have tremendous other partners in this area, such as PNNL, and it's this kind of collaboration that's going to help move us into the decarbonized future that we're looking for. Okay, so you can see that we are all over the state. The little Coug head symbols are where our campuses are. We have 5 physical locations and 1 global. Our global is our virtual campus. Usually it's just stuck out there in the middle of the ocean. And I'd say 6 campuses, and everybody looks at us and says, you can't have 6 campuses, one's in the ocean. But it is because it's our virtual campus, our global campus. But all those other sites are research sites and extension sites. So we cover the state very well, and we like to call ourselves Washington State's University. So we're really truly part of the Washington State ecosystem. We serve the community with our land grant mission through education, research, and again, community service and partnership. That is a built-in part of our mission. Looking at just the Tri-Cities campus, we were established in 1989, and we truly do serve this region, and we reflect the region that we are located in. That's important to us because what we are doing here is we are educating the workforce of this region and the workforce of the future. And we do that by educating those students who are around us. We have nearly 50% of our students are students of color. It's very important to the burgeoning workforce that's coming up. 51% of our students are first-generation students. Again, very important to get students opportunities that they may not have had right here in their backyard, or may not have thought they would have access to, but right here in their backyard, they get the education they need to get the jobs of the future, and 60% of our students are female. Again, all of these things are very important to the workforce of the future, and particularly the energy workforce of the future, if you're talking about WSU Tri-Cities, actually the world, but we'll stick WSU in the Tri-Cities. Our STEM majors are a big piece of what we do here. Again, very important to our partners who are in the area and very important to energy. 40% of our total enrollment of our students are in STEM majors, and 53% of the STEM students come from historically marginalized communities. Very important statistic. We are providing opportunity for people who may not have opportunity to enter into these fields and change the world. So we do have research strengths in energy, the environment, and agriculture. I didn't just make that up. It doesn't take much to look around our region and know that those are our major economic drivers, and we have research strengths in there. A few years ago, we decided as a campus that we would very much highly focus, no matter what major students were in, we would focus on energy and the environment in particular. So we actually have a program, and I see Jillian Cadwell in the audience, where we introduce students to energy and the energy future in their very basic courses. So you're coming into English 101, everybody remember English 101? You have a module in energy. History, you have a module in energy. It is such an important part of our future that we want to make sure that students know about it and know that they can be part of the solution. So we like to think of ourselves, we believe that we are of the community. We are not just in the community, we are of the community. We love working with our partners in industry, and I'm sorry, Judd, I had to kind of go up there, and especially PNNL. As I've already said, our region is bountiful in energy resources, both in power and in fuels. You're going to be talking mostly about power, but we also have fuels in our region, and we like to take advantage of that and be a big piece of the community in that way. Again, being of the community and not just in the community. I'll take the next slide, please. And so, as I said before, we are, as we looked at what our region had, the assets that our region had, both natural and with all the research that's going on in the industry that is in our area, we made the decision to take the lead in the transition from clean up to clean energy, is what I called it once, and now the Secretary of Education stole it, so I said it in front of her. But we've been known in this region to be the cleanup area for what is our future, and our future really is in clean energy. And so we decided to take the lead, or to make sure that our campus was a vital part of taking the lead in the transition into a clean energy future. So we developed the partnerships with PNNL that you'll hear a bit about a little bit later. Of course, the Advanced Grid Institute is the one that you're going to hear about most today, but we also have two others. We have the Bioproduct Institute, and that is housed here on campus in the Bioproduct Sciences Engineering Laboratory, which is also a partnership, strong partnership with PNNL. PNNL researchers are working side by side with our faculty actually on this campus in that laboratory. I think it is a terrific model for how the national labs and institutes of higher education can work together in a very close way. And we're also working with PNNL and the Pacific Northwest Hydrogen Hub as well, so that we appreciate that partnership as well. So we're very invested in making sure that we are a part of what's going on around the community. What you'll hear about later from Noel Schultz is the work that we've done with the Institute for Northwest Energy Futures. That was the biggest step that we've taken so far into a clean energy, or being a leader in the clean energy transition. And Noel will talk a little bit more about what we're doing in the Institute, but the Institute is using systems thinking and systems engineering and other, we'll just say, stick with systems thinking, to put all the pieces together. Judd was talking about how all the research that's going on in PNNL and across the state, and how do you make those pieces fit together to really move forward into the reliable and affordable clean energy future that we need. That's what we will bring to the table for the Institute for Northwest Energy Future. Again, I won't steal any more of Noel's thunder. And I think that that's it for me, except for to say again, welcome. We're so glad you're here. We're so glad to be part of such a great group that's interested in making the transition that we all need to make. And we hope that you think about us in the future for your research partnerships and your industry needs. For you or?
So good morning. This is a nice eyesore, eye candy here. This is deliberately that way because it illustrates WSU system energy related activities, research and education. And yes, it's very broad. And Sandra just mentioned the Institute for Northwest Energy Futures that Noel will be talking about later. I wanted to highlight the consortium for hydrogen and renewably generated e-fuels, quite a mouthful, charges a lot easier. That is an innovative cluster that is from Washington State, and they're about convening people and technologies in that space. It collaborates with PNNL. And then the other one, which is hydrogen related, I wanted to, again, interesting acronym, but it's HYPER, for Hydrogen Properties for Energy Research Center. That is the only US academic research lab that looks at liquid hydrogen and is actively looking at, well, doing some myth busting on thermodynamics and how you can actually store liquid hydrogen and fill storage containers in a timely manner and in an energy efficient manner, which might be very useful as we go forward. I will also point out the Pacific Northwest Hydrogen Hub. We'll have a slide on that later. It's an incredibly strategic partnership that WSU and PNNL have together. You see here, both actively involved in the area, both have somewhat similar research strengths. By bringing the two institutes together, we're able to elevate each other. We're able to work on technology and STEM in the region and work on the future workforce. And this ties into, you're going to see three pillars for this. I'm going to briefly talk about joint institutes, and then I'm going to talk about joint appointments, and then I'm going to talk about distinguished graduate research program. So I don't really need to touch on this one because not only you've met Annemieke and Wei, and you probably know them for quite some time. They will be talking later on both current research and research in the future. Both Annemieke and Wei will be on the panel later, and you've heard Judd speak wonderfully about that particular joint institute. Another one is the Nuclear Science and Technology Institute. This is led by Neil Henson at PNNL and Jim Bonseller at WSU. I will highlight on this particular slide, well, they're about understanding and control how materials evolve, radiation environments, advanced knowledge of nuclear materials, management, next generation nuclear energy, and non-proliferation of nuclear weapons. The NIST has approved they have to submit a proposal for the construction and planning of a new hot cell. That's the pink building that's next to the nuclear reactor. It's a Trigger 1 megawatt reactor. So WSU, over the next 2 years, is on trajectory to build a new building. It is, I can't thank PNNL enough. They've been so generous with their time and in helping WSU in the steep learning curve on what it takes to put together a world-class hot cell that is safe. And we've had several visits. There will be several more visits, but we could not do it without PNNL. And I wanted to talk about, in the nuclear space, one of the key challenges is future workforce. And so what we're highlighting there is the American Chemical Society this year in June. Their Northwest regional meeting, or NORM for short, was in Pullman. They had 57 presentations on nuclear sciences, nuclear materials. And what you're seeing here is PNNL and NSTI were very active at engaging students and recruiting. They had meetings with over 37 different students. The third joint institute is Bioproducts Institute. This is led by Joshua Hine and Corinne Fuller. They're about turning today's waste into tomorrow's carbon resource, be that carbon residues or be that any waste stream you can imagine. I know you've just had breakfast, but waste can be good, particularly when you solve another problem. Today it's a waste, tomorrow it's a resource. You turn an expense into a revenue. So that's why we like waste streams. And there are parts of the market segment that you really need this carbon. You cannot take carbon out of organic chemistry and organic chemicals. You're going to need them. Electrify where you can, but there are going to be segments where you absolutely need renewable carbon. And so what I'm going to touch on here is there's 13 joint appointments that are connected to the Bioproducts Institute, and we'll touch on joint appointments. And as Sandra mentioned, the centroid of this is the Bioproducts Sciences and Engineering Lab that is here, but it is across PNNL, it's just its centroid, and WSU. And this segues into joint appointments. What are joint appointments about? They're between PNNL and WSU and intended to elevate the scientific impact and productivity of researchers at both institutes. We drive each other harder and higher by having our joint appointments. So these are averaging around 40 to 45. What you're seeing on the chart at the end, there are 38 that are, as of this month, that are active joint appointments. And then there are 6 that are pending, that are up for renewal or will expire. And there's 1 new that is pending. The newest of the active ones is your very own co-director of AGI. This way. You mentioned this morning. Let's touch briefly on Distinguished Graduate Research Program. This is really all about enabling research experience for outstanding PhD students using the capabilities and synergistic research programs that WSU have. If you're a student and you're outstanding, you want to come to a university and then you top. You say, how can I make that even better? So 2 years at WSU, get your courses out of the way, start your research. You make it better by spending 2 years at PNNL with the unique capabilities there. An extra line on a resume, but also think about the additional scientists and engineers those students have networked with. And the 2 perspectives, being at a university, being at a national lab. These are really amazing students. So we've had 41 students, 14 are currently active, and there's 27 that are graduated. I will pivot now. We're going to talk about the Energy Systems Innovation Center. Yes, the director is Manny. He has to talk later in the program. And so the vision here is leading the transition to affordable, sustainable, and resilient electric power systems. The Power Professorship Program has been going successfully since 1973. The key aspect of this program is the memberships. So I wanted to highlight that. These are the collaborations, the 2 real buckets here, Power Education Partnerships. These are the members, the 12 members in 2024. It's very strong. That's supporting the power engineering education aspect. And then here are the 8 members in the Research Excellence Partnership. We thank all our members. We couldn't do this without you, and we thoroughly enjoyed collaborating with these members. I wanted to highlight also the WSU Energy Program. Broadly, this is about, it partners with federal, regional, state, and community organizations to identify, plan, and support effective energy projects. That's the overall program. It's in Olympia. It helps the state quite significantly. That's its traditional role, but now it's coming to being more integrated across WSU. And one project I want to highlight here is the Northwest On-Site Energy Program. So Northwest is led by WSU, it's Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Alaska. It's funded by DOE. It's a technical system partnerships to help industry and other large energy users transition to clean energy, low costs, and reduce emissions, contribute to the clean energy economy. It also leverages 3 national labs, including our regional and local favorite, the Pacific Northwest National Lab. In closing, I want to mention the Pacific Northwest Hydrogen Hub. This was awarded from the Office of Clean Energy Demonstrations. There is a poster on this Pacific Northwest Hydrogen Hub late this afternoon. You can go and see that in detail. It's currently in its phase 1. It's looking at planning and rollout at the moment. It's 27.5 million from OECD in the first phase, and then you get to compete against the others to go to phase 2. WSU, while it is run by the Pacific Northwest Hydrogen Association, that's the leader of this particular hydrogen hub, there are nodes around sites where there will be demonstrations. But 2 key members are PNNL and WSU. WSU is leading the community engagement aspect of the project, and I encourage you to go and talk to the people at that poster later today. With that, thank you very much for your time.